Please be seated. We're going to be in recess for lunch. The notes, I understand you're concerned about the notes. What I'm going to do is ask that the clerk make a copy of the notes. The attorneys will be instructed that those notes are not to be shared with anybody else, and after they're finished with their questioning, your notes will be destroyed. Their copy of your notes will be destroyed. So if you'll give it to the clerk, she'll make a copy and provide it to both sides with the confidentiality order that the court has entered previously in this case. As soon as you get your original of your notes back, you could go to lunch and be back here at 1 p.m. You're not to discuss your testimony with anyone because you're still considered to be on the stand. Okay? Thank you. Court will be in recess.
Bit in your prior deposition and in the handout you gave counsel at the time of that deposition last November, you estimated that Mr. Martin may have lived from 1 to 3 minutes. Do you remember that?
Yes, I did. I read the deposition transcript of deposition 2 times.
Yes.
Last weekend.
Today you said that it would be 1 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
So your opinion has changed.
Yeah, opinion
between
always can be changed.
You have to wait until he finishes with his question before you give your answer. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Your opinion has changed on that matter since your deposition last November until today. Is that correct?
No, not till today.
I'm sorry?
Not till today. Until 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You changed your opinion 2 to 3 weeks ago about how
3
long...
3 weeks ago, yes.
3 weeks ago?
Yes.
About how long Trayvon Martin may have lived after sustaining the gunshot wound?
Yes.
And is that based upon additional research that you did?
No, based on another autopsy I did, in our office. We had a case very similar to Trayvon Martin's case 3 weeks ago. First, I need to explain to you what is opinion. Okay, opinion can be changed. That's why you ask jury to be open-minded, to have open mind, right? Opinion, there is no truth or false, just right or wrong. If you have new information, if you have new experience, if you read a new book, you will change your opinion. If someone never change opinion, you can call kind of mental retarded or you never learn, right?
The focus of my questioning now is
yes.
About 3 weeks ago,
yes.
You changed your opinion.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You're surprised because...
And the reason you changed your opinion is because of a case that you handled at the medical examiner's office?
3 weeks ago.
Right.
Yes.
Not additional research through textbooks or consultations with other experts?
No.
Okay. And 3 weeks ago, when you changed your opinion, is when you decided that instead of 1 to 3 minutes, it may have been 1 to 10 minutes that Trayvon Martin may have lived?
Yes.
And did you, once you formed that opinion, did you make notes of it?
No, I did not make notes of it.
Did you contact the...
Oh, no, I have notes on it. Actually, still in my office right now.
Right. Did you contact the state attorney's office to tell them that you had changed your opinion on that important matter?
No, I did not.
When, prior to today, but after the November deposition, have you spoken with or met with members of the state attorney's office?
Yes, we did.
Yes, when?
Yesterday.
Any time prior to your deposition, I'm sorry, any time after your deposition and prior to yesterday, did
yes.
you meet with or talk with any member of the state attorney's office?
The only time we talked is to the secretary, Jennifer. We asked the time when I should come here to testify, and I told Jennifer that I need to meet with the lawyer, state attorney, if he want to present the photos, because if he present the photos, I want to know what kind of photo he want to present, so I need to prepare to explain these photos.
Okay. So you had that conversation with a staff member of the state attorney?
Yeah, I always talk to her.
And yesterday you met with Mr. Della Rionda?
Yes,
Was there
yesterday,
anybody-
July 4th, right?
Was there anybody else present?
No.
Where was it?
Where or when?
Where?
Where is in my office?
In Volusia County?
Yes.
And prior to that meeting with Mr. Della Rionda, you had not spoken with anyone about your anticipated testimony except with the legal staff, Jennifer?
No, I just tell him, nobody else.
Yesterday, when you met with Mr. Della Rionda, did you talk about your anticipated testimony for today?
Yes.
And you met with him a half hour, 40 minutes, something like that?
No, I don't have any notes to record how long.
Well, what do you think, basically?
It is my opinion now, not the fact.
Sure, but what would your opinion be as to how long you and Mr. Della Rionda met yesterday?
40 minutes.
Okay. And during that 40 minutes, did you tell Mr. Della Rionda that you had changed your opinion on how long Trayvon Martin may have lived?
I don't remember. I may told him, I may not.
Do you have any notes with that about that conversation?
I do not have any notes.
Did you think it was an important matter?
I think it's important.
And important enough to tell the lead prosecutor in this case that you had changed your opinion?
He is not my lawyer. I'm not his employee. I'm independent voice. Actually, I learned that.
Are you saying that you just don't remember whether or not you told Mr. Della Rionda that your opinion had changed?
Purpose.
Please let me finish the question.
Okay.
Are you saying that you just don't remember whether you told Mr. Della Rionda yesterday in your meeting of about 40 minutes that your opinion concerning how long Trayvon Martin lived after the gunshot wound, that you didn't tell him that your opinion had changed?
I don't remember. I did not write down I did or not. I have two purposes. When I met him...
No, I don't remember. I did not write down.
Yeah, the reason I say I did not remember because I did not write down. Okay, I cannot answer you question which I'm not sure. The purpose of the meeting was I want to know what kind of photo he wanted me to present because I don't want a surprise. You give me a photo, I even don't understand. Or he may present a photo, it's not my photo.
All right. Just
Second.
Specifically on that point.
Yes.
That's all I'm interested in right now.
Yeah.
It's your testimony regarding whether you told Mr. Della Rionda that your opinion changed, that Trayvon Martin may have lived from 1 to 3 minutes to 1 to 10 minutes, that you don't remember whether you mentioned that.
I did not remember which, because that's not the point. That's not the reason I want to meet him.
All right.
I may say it, I may not say it.
Sure. You may have said it,
Yeah,
you may
I may
not
not.
have.
Yes.
Just, okay.
Yeah, there's a difference between the fact and the opinion. I don't think you still understand.
Sure. Well, let's talk about something else then.
Okay.
At your deposition last November, you acknowledged that Trayvon Martin had the active ingredient of marijuana, THC, in his system, correct?
Yes.
1.5 nanograms per milliliter?
Yes.
And it was your opinion that that level of marijuana would have no physical or mental, emotional effect. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was your testimony in November.
Yes.
When you prepared your notes for your testimony today,
Yes.
one of your notes indicates that since last November, you've changed your mind on that subject,
I
correct?
changed my opinion.
Change your opinion on
Yeah,
that subject.
today is fact, opinion. You cannot use term, story, or mind. Just, I changed my opinion. I
Yes,
have right to change
last
it.
fall,
Everybody change it. I can change every hour. I don't see any problem.
last fall, your opinion was the level of marijuana would have no physical or mental effect, correct?
Yes, at that time.
Now your opinion is that it would indeed have at least some mental effect.
Could be. I said could be.
All right, so
Because
And that's based upon additional research that
Yes,
you did?
I spent hours and hours. I went to the library, I read papers, and I tried to pull out my previous research. And
based
I
upon-
talked to some other expert. And
I'm sorry?
I talked to other expert.
Who did you talk with?
I talked to my previous friend in Washington State,
Who is that, please?
Dr. Brooks.
Pardon me?
Brooks, Brooks.
Is that the last name?
Yeah.
Is this
Dr.
person a toxicologist?
He's not a toxicologist. He's a biologist. He's one of the best, if not the best, of no-dose radiation. No-dose radiation effect in the world. I worked with him for many years.
You consulted with Dr. Brooks about the issue of toxicology,
Yes,
and among other literature that you consulted,
yes.
Other
We worked
studies?
together many times.
did you
Sorry?
did you review studies where research was done on the intoxicating effects or the impairment effects of marijuana at various levels?
Yes, I believe. After,
Can you tell us today what studies you consulted that led to your change of opinion?
For the purpose of this limited hearing is a Richardson hearing, so please keep on topic for that.
so,
All right, let me focus you then on this.
okay.
When did you change your mind about the significance of the THC level in Trayvon Martin's blood?
I don't remember exactly the time. Could be in last 60 days. Because,
60 days.
yes, when we decide to have this trial, in the last 60 days, I try to prepare for this testimony.
Right.
Because not every case will go to trial.
So you're saying that sometime in the last 60 days is when
Yes.
you changed your opinion on the effects of the marijuana?
Yes.
And did you mention that to Mr. Della Rionda yesterday when you met with him for about 40 minutes?
No, I did not mention how, I did not mention I changed my opinion. I just said marijuana tox report is part of the autopsy report. We should talk about it. I report to jury. I said I should report to jury the toxicology report. I did that every time in the previous case. And he said we may not talk about it because of some issue in the court, some
Right.
hearing, whatever.
Did you tell him that your opinion had changed?
No,
about
I did
the
not
sig-
tell him.
Did you tell him that your opinion had changed about the significance of the THC level?
I did not.
Why not?
Because he said we will not talk about it.
The issue is not why, the issue is did he tell him? This is a Richardson hearing, and I'd like to stay focused on that issue at this time.
Y- Yes, of course. Was there any conversation with Mr. Della Rionda about anything related to marijuana and the research you had done?
No, I did not. He even don't want to talk about it. I said I need talk not just marijuana but toxicology report, because toxicology report is part of the autopsy report. Jury, they need to know.
And
It's
he-
the right to know. We just cannot skip that.
Was there anybody present during your conversation yesterday with Mr. Della Rionda?
No.
Had you spoken with any other member of the state attorney's office, any staff member, lawyer, investigator, paralegal, and such, where the notion of marijuana came up?
No,
So yesterday was the only time you spoke with Mr. Della Rionda or anyone on his behalf in connection with this case after your deposition of last November?
yeah, he's the only one I know actually in the state attorney office. Other than the secretary or investigators, he's the only attorney I talk to regarding
And you-
any
you-
issue.
You didn't tell her anything about changing your opinion on the marijuana issue?
No, no. I don't think she can understand that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are there any other witnesses that you wish to call in regards to a Richardson hearing? Are there any other witnesses that you wish to call in regards to Richardson hearing?
Yes. When no witnesses, I do have a couple of follow-up questions. Just
Okay.
to be clear, I may have clouded the issue.
Yes.
So, until 3 weeks ago, your opinion was that Trayvon Martin would have lived 1 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
Based upon the case in the medical examiner's office, you now believe it was 1 to 10 minutes?
Yes.
As to the marijuana, in last November you believed that there would be no physical or mental effect by the marijuana.
Yes.
And today you believe there would be.
Not today. Not just today. In the last 60 days.
All
When
right.
I tried to prepare this testimony,
Right.
did
For the-
research.
So for the last 60 days, you have believed that, in fact, there is some toxicological significance to the level of marijuana in that it would have...
Different issue. Let's stick to the Richardson issue. The Richardson issue is whether or not that information was made known to the state attorney's office and if they failed to pass the information on to you. Do you have any other questions regarding that issue of Dr. Bao?
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to expand this just a little bit because the admissibility issue is before the
I'm
court.
not on that issue at this time. For the third time, we're talking about the Richardson violations and whether or not there was one. This is a Richardson hearing. Do you have any other testimony you want to elicit from Dr. Bao on that? Or do you have any other witnesses that you wish to call on that issue?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The state have any other witnesses you wish to call?
No, Your Honor, but I'll be glad to show counsel my question on this issue, and he can read the answer that I've got, so I'll be glad to share that with the court.
You can-
Because I've been, approached
What issue are you talking about?
the 1 to 10 minutes. You can look at the answer that I have prepared, what I thought he was going to say at the bottom of that.
Okay, and that says 1 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, the court, after hearing testimony, finds that there is no Richardson violation. Okay, are you ready to cross-examine Dr. Bao and bring the jury in?
I would like, yes, but I would like to question Dr. Bao about his opinion regarding the intoxicating effects of
Okay,
marijuana
very briefly.
before the jury. We've already addressed it here.
No, I've made my ruling on the toxicology. The information that I've heard at this time, my ruling stands.
This is new information, please.
I
The reason-
understand you can ask them whatever questions you want, but not in the presence of the jury.
All right, thank you. Regarding the intoxicating effects of the level of marijuana in Trayvon Martin's system, it's now your opinion that based upon additional research, consulting with other experts in the field, that indeed there was some physical or mental effect by the level of marijuana that was in Mr. Martin's system.
Okay. That's your opinion. My opinion is marijuana could have no effect or some effect.
Okay, that's your opinion. My opinion is marijuana could have
No effect
no effect.
or some effect. Because if you ask my opinion, you let me say it. Instead of you say your opinion, ask me yes or no. I cannot do that.
So your opinion is, not mine, your opinion is that there could be no effect or there could be some effect.
Yes, try.
And you can't tell exactly how much.
No, I cannot.
That's the inquiry.
Okay, thank you. Based upon that, my prior ruling on the toxicology issue and the state's motion in limine, which the court granted, remains. So that is the court's order. Are we ready to bring the jury back in to finish or to do your cross-examination of Dr. Bao?
Yes, I would like Dr. Bao's notes marked and an exhibit in the record.
You'll have to give a copy. I gave him back his copy. I don't have a copy.
Would the court ask the witness to
Well-
make his notes available? Mine have my notes all over them.
This is my copyright.
We can do it at some point before we finish, is all.
That's fine.
Sure.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Are you all set, Shelley?
Jury is present, Your Honor.
Please be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I apologize for the delay, but I'm going to ask you my questions again. If your answer is yes to any of the questions, please raise your hand. During the lunch recess, did any of you have any discussion amongst yourselves or with anybody else about the case? No hands are being raised. Did any of you read or listen to any radio, television, or newspaper reports about the case? No hands are being raised. Did any of you use any type of an electronic device to do independent research about the case on the internet? People, places, things, terminology. No hands are being raised. And finally, did any of you read or create any emails, text messages, Twitters, tweets, blogs, or social networking pages about the case? No hands are being raised. Thank you very much. Mr. West, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bell.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Continuing with your questioning, we've had an opportunity now to take a look at your notes, and you have them back.
Yes.
If you would please, if any of your answers in my questioning or Mr. Delarianda's follow-up require you to refresh your memory with your notes, would you please tell us?
What do you mean, refresh my note?
Right. What I'm saying is this. If at any point in the questioning you use your notes
Okay.
to refresh your memory,
Yes.
or that you are relying on your notes instead of having a memory, would you please let us know?
Okay.
Okay, I think before lunch we were talking about the basic protocol used in conducting an autopsy
Yes.
at the medical examiner's office. And you were saying that the clothing is removed item by item and packaged.
Yes.
And there would be a chain of custody started, correct?
Yes.
So the person who packaged the clothing would indicate on the packaging that they received it, and they would actually initial or sign the packaging.
Yes, generally speaking.
And then through whosever hands those packages or that evidence may have traveled would also sign to indicate the chain of custody.
Yes.
In this instance, you don't remember specifically if you were present when Mr. Martin's clothing was removed and packaged?
Normally, I should be there.
Of course, but you don't specifically remember that
No,
you were
I
here.
told you, I do not remember anything
And
on
then,
the day of autopsy.
but you have a procedure whereby the clothing is removed by one of the assistants, provided to another who then photographs it and packages it, correct?
Yes.
And you have no reason to think that wasn't done in this case.
Yes. Right.
And then once the clothing is removed and on its way to being photographed and packaged, you then do a preliminary inspection of the body?
Yes.
And at what point in the sequence are the fingernail scrapings done?
I do not recall. It's autopsy technician's job to scraping of fingernails.
In this case, well, generally speaking,
Yes.
you don't do that.
No, I never do that, actually.
So it's always a technician.
Yes.
And do you know which technician in this case did that?
I believe it's Ben Dalton.
And is there a specific procedure that's used for that?
I do not know. They were trained to do this job. It's their responsibility. I have confidence on them. They did right thing.
But you don't know in this case whether he did it right or not.
I did not.
And is it the practice of your lab to use one of the little wooden sticks for all 5 fingers on each hand?
Yes.
Why is that?
I did not write the protocol. I don't know.
Do you know who did write the protocol?
I don't know either.
Is that okay with you that they use one stick for all 5 fingers?
That's not my job. I will not worry about it.
Would you agree that if you use one stick for all 5 fingers, there's no way to identify which finger may have had the biological evidence of interest?
Yeah, you cannot. If you just use one for all 5 fingers, then
Right.
you have no ability to identify which one.
And how would you know, in fact, that in the process of making the scrapings, that some of the biological material that you couldn't see didn't actually wipe off instead of being accumulated with each finger?
I'm going to object this is speculation.
Sustained. He testified he does it.
Yeah, I never did that job. I have no experience about that stuff, so you can ask them.
You wouldn't be able to say then whether or not it was done correctly or incorrectly.
I have no experience. I have no fact. I have no opinion.
Do you know, in fact, that each of the 5 fingers were scraped on each hand?
I hope so.
Of course, but do you know?
I told you I don't remember anything on the day of the autopsy.
Does the protocol require all 5 fingers to
I
be
never
scraped?
read that protocol.
You can't tell me then, I take it, what Trayvon Martin's fingernails looked like.
I look at Trayvon Martin's body everywhere, everything.
Can you tell me what his fingernails looked like? And by that I mean, were they long? Were they short? Were they cut off below the tip of the finger?
I told you I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
If I find something significant to my attention, I will write it down. Anything I did not write down, I believe is not significant.
Right, so in other words, if it was significant to you, you wrote it down.
Yes,
If it wasn't significant, you didn't.
yes.
But if you missed something, it wouldn't be there.
Objection.
I will not miss anything. It's my job to not to miss anything. I shouldn't miss anything.
Right. Could you show me, first of all, can you tell me what Trayvon Martin's fingernails look like?
I did not remember.
Can you tell me whether or not the act of scraping them is likely to be successful because they were long or short?
I did not do that. I told you I don't have memory. I do not have any fact. I have no opinion.
So if I were to show you a picture of Trayvon Martin's fingernails, you wouldn't know whether or not they looked the same that day?
The fingernail has to connect to the Trayvon's head for me even to identify.
I'm talking about the condition, what the fingernails look like. If I showed you a picture, that wouldn't do you any good because you have no memory.
Yes,
Is that correct?
I do not have any memory. I told you before, I told you right now, I do not remember anything.
part of the protocol also includes fingernail clippings, correct?
It's not my protocol. It's not my job. It's technician's job. They are trained to do that.
Don't you supervise the technicians?
I supervise them.
Don't you make sure they do their job completely and correctly?
I have confidence on them. They are trained to do their job. I cannot keep my eye on them. When I do autopsy, I do autopsy. My hand is gloved. My hand is bloody.
Are you doing an autopsy with bloody, gloved hands when the fingernails are scraped?
No.
Right.
I look at them before we do autopsy.
Sure.
And after we look at it and we write down, we should write at that point, and we start autopsy, and we never look again.
So you're saying you don't know whether or not it's standard protocol to make fingernail clippings as well as scrapings?
No, I don't know. I even don't know that protocol exists because it's not a part of my job.
May I approach the witness? I'm going to show you what's called an evidence accountability sheet.
Yes.
Do you have that?
Yeah, I do have that. Is this one?
Right. And do you see that there's a checkbox
Yeah.
for fingernail scrapings that's checked?
Yes.
And you see one for fingernail clippings that is not checked, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That tells you then there were no fingernail clippings
Yes.
as part of the autopsy procedure here.
And actually, I remember in Texas they do clipping. Here they do scraping. It's chief's call. The chief of medical examiner's office makes the decision how to do the business. I'm the associate medical examiner. My job is determining the cause and the manner of death. I would not worry about the protocol, the technician.
You don't worry about whether the technician is following the protocol of the office.
Yeah,
It's not your job.
No. It's not
And in
my
this
job.
case, so you would have no idea why no fingernail clippings were preserved.
Yeah, I was there. I don't remember what they did. It's not my
So-
job to worry about it.
So that would mean then that you don't know if they weren't kept because they chose not to,
Yeah, if they do not do that,
or that there weren't any fingernail clippings because the nails were so short they couldn't get any. You don't know.
I told you before, I don't remember.
Did you do a blood draw for routine toxicology in this case?
We try to get blood for every case.
So in this case, there was blood drawn as part of the routine autopsy protocol for submission to a toxicology lab for analysis. Is that correct?
Yes. In my note, we note that the blood is from Trayvon's chest.
Right. For toxicology, it's...
To the issue we've previously addressed.
Okay. The court has made a pretrial ruling about this matter. Please abide by the court's order.
Of course, Your Honor. Yes, for toxicology purposes,
Yes.
the blood that was drawn was from the chest area, correct?
Yes.
For toxicology purposes, it's better, is it not, that the blood be drawn from a peripheral source?
Yeah, the peripheral blood is the best first choice, such as femoral blood.
Femoral blood
subclavian, yeah.
somewhere down in the leg?
Yeah, or subclavian blood from here.
Right. In this case, did you attempt to get peripheral blood?
Yes.
How do you know?
I did not remember.
Pardon me?
You want to catch me? I do not remember. I told you, generally speaking, okay?
Uh-huh.
We try to get peripheral blood first. If we cannot get peripheral blood, we try heart second. If we cannot get blood from the heart, then we try something else. In this case, Trayvon Martin has no blood left everywhere else. All blood is in the chest. That's our only option, I believe.
You're suggesting, I mean, you saw the photos.
Yes.
Obviously, your staff took them, that there was no source of blood anywhere in his
the
body
photo did not show blood.
other than the chest?
I have that on my autopsy report.
Wait till he finishes with his question, and then you may give your answer.
The question was wrong.
Is it your testimony that there was no source of blood for toxicology purposes that would qualify as peripheral blood?
Yeah, if
Correct?
there is proof of blood, we will take it.
Do you know what attempts may have been made specifically in this case?
Objection.
No, you asked me this case.
Just 1 second, please.
The blood draw that was done for toxicology purposes, in this case, you're saying, was not available through a peripheral source?
In this case, I don't know, I don't remember, but generally speaking, we should get blood from peripheral if there is one.
Okay.
In this case, I do not believe there is
Do you
one.
do that yourself?
No.
Are you the one that draws the blood for that purpose?
I never draw blood.
So
from
in
the
this
body.
in this case, who drew the blood that was submitted as part of the
Is
toxicology?
there an objection, Your Honor?
It's
Wait, when there's an objection, you can't answer until I make a ruling. Thank you. The court has made a pretrial determination, and I'm asking counsel to make sure you abide by that.
Certainly. Do you know who drew the blood?
I believe is Ben Dalton.
He was the hands-on guy, correct? In terms of assisting with the,
Yes,
whereas Ms. Feller was the clean hands person.
yes, yes.
It makes sense it would have been Ben Dorton then.
Yeah.
Okay. You have 107. May I approach the witness, please?
Yes, you may.
Dr. Brown, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 107. It's already in evidence.
Okay.
It's a better quality picture than the ones on the screen. Would you take a look at that?
Yes.
Do you recognize those to be the pants that Trayvon Martin was wearing at the time the autopsy was performed?
Yeah, this is one of the photos I have.
Correct.
There is a case number, so I believe it is.
That came from your office,
Yes.
taken by Ms. Feller, most likely,
Yes.
and is considered part of the case package.
Yes.
And you would have seen those pants at some point.
Yes.
I have it back. Mary, could I publish it briefly?
Yes, you may.
And y'all just pass it down. And I'll keep it. You've had an opportunity to look at all of the photographs that your staff took in connection with this autopsy?
Yes. I went through many times.
I'm sorry.
I went through these photos many times.
And am I correct that there are no photographs that show the palms of Mr. Martin's hands?
I did not recall. We
Take a
do
look.
have photos of the abrasion on
Right.
the left fingers.
I know. If you have them in your memory, just tell me if you can. Are there any photographs that were taken that show Trayvon Martin's palms?
No, I don't believe we have that.
Is it part of your protocol not to photograph the entire body, all of the body surfaces?
The protocol is we take photos as a whole body. We take 3 photos to cover all the bodies because we don't have space to get a camera too high, very high, to get one photo of the whole body. Other than that, we take the photos as needed. For example, if I found something I thought may be significant, such as an injury, a tumor, a disease on skin, we will take photo.
Are you saying it was a conscious decision by your staff member not to photograph the palms of Trayvon Martin's hands?
I look at the palm, generally speaking, for every case because the body coming, the hand is contracted. I have to bend them straight. I look at them. If I do not find anything, I just pass.
And you don't take a picture?
I do not take picture for anywhere I don't think is significant.
So you're making a decision on the fly, what might be significant later, and make a conscious decision not to photograph certain parts of the body.
It was my decision, I think. I look at it. I did not see any injury. I did not see any disease. So we just move on.
That's what you're looking for, is injury or disease.
Yes.
Likewise, you don't have any pictures of Trayvon Martin's fingernails. Is that correct?
I do not believe we have that.
Was that also a conscious decision not to take a picture that would show his fingernails?
It's not a particular decision. I believe we do not do that. If I do not find anything significant or disease or injuries.
That's certainly not a cost issue, is it?
It is not a cost issue.
It's just a digital camera.
Yes.
The images are stored digitally.
Yes.
You're not paying for film or copies or anything.
I do not even worry about that. When we do autopsy, for any profession, I work in the hospital, in the medical exam office, the efficiency is so important. In this case, we started autopsy 10:30, means I did another one before Trayvon Martin. I would start autopsy 9 o'clock. And this is Monday morning. I will have another autopsy due after this case. So we take maybe 5 to 10 photos as needed.
So you're saying that you're kind of in a hurry and you don't want to take a full body set of photographs?
No, I'm not in a hurry. I said, for any case, we take 5 to 10 photos. We do not just take photos for the purpose of future use. We take 100 photos, cover everywhere. We cannot do that.
Your testimony is that you can't take pictures of all the body surfaces?
No, we cannot. There is no
And
reason
that's
to
because
do
it takes
that.
too much time or costs too much in resources. What's the reason?
What's the reason? That's we do that all the time. We did that before. We did that on this case. We will do that in the future.
So in other words, without the photographs, in this case, nobody can look and make a decision for themselves whether you missed something or whether they would see...
I do not believe I missed
Let me finish,
anything.
please. Or whether they might interpret something differently than you did.
I believe in this case, nobody knows Trayvon Martin's autopsy more than I do.
Except for one thing, you can't remember anything about it.
Yes, anything is based on my note.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the other aspects of it, please. The abrasion on the left ring finger of the fourth finger on the left hand
Yes.
is about this area.
Yes.
An abrasion is kind of a rubbing, scraping injury, correct?
Yes.
As opposed to a laceration that might be from a sharp edge.
Yeah, but laceration means the skin was separate. There is tissue was cut after blunt force trauma.
Whereas the laceration, the top surface of the skin's basically rubbed off.
Yes.
And there were a couple of little ones on the pinky finger.
Yes.
I know your testimony was that it could have happened up to 2 hours before Mr. Martin died. Is that correct?
I said that this small aberration could happen 2 hours before Trayvon Martin met George Zimmerman.
And that's based upon your visual inspection of the abrasion itself?
Yes.
So it's really hard, I take it, to know precisely when someone received an abrasion injury.
Yes. You cannot say very specific.
So it could have been 2 hours.
Could be 2 hours before. Could be during the struggle with both guys.
It would be consistent with a blow.
Not consistent with blow. Consistent with.
You saying that you wouldn't get an abrasion like that by striking somebody with your fist?
You could.
You could, right?
Yes.
Sure. You could also get an abrasion like that by scraping it along some cement.
Yes.
Okay.
And also could be on the way down after he was shot.
So he, on his way down to the ground after being shot, is what
Yes.
you're saying?
Could cause this injury too.
So it could have occurred on his way down if he were on his knees?
I said could on the way down for anything. I have no idea.
So let's say this. Hypothetically, if Trayvon Martin were on his knees leaning over George Zimmerman when he was shot, you're saying he could have received this abrasion between where he was at the time of the shot and when he fell forward on the grass?
Yeah, that's too specific. It is my opinion that could happen before they met, during the struggle, or after he was shot.
You're not suggesting, are you, that Mr. Martin could receive the abrasion on his finger by falling onto wet, soft grass?
It shouldn't happen.
It would require a hard, ungiving surface of some sort,
Yes.
something abrasive,
Yes.
something like cement or something with a hard edge.
Yes, you're right.
Certainly not wet, soggy soil.
I don't think so.
Now, you said also that it's not something that would bleed correctly? It wouldn't bleed much?
Yeah, this injury, there is no blood. Blood still inside of the tissue, still inside of capillary.
Can there be blood sometimes?
Shouldn't.
Right, but can there be? Could that wound be enough?
When I look at it, there is no blood. I'm not sure before.
Right, it could have been wiped off.
I don't think so.
There
It's
could
so,
have been-
it's so superficial. The blood vessel did not have injury.
Right. So if there had been some blood that you didn't see, it could have been wiped off.
Objection and speculation.
But
The body reacts to being injured by putting some fluids too, correct?
yeah,
So
blood.
there, even if it's not blood, there could be some other bodily fluids that would kind of
Yeah.
come to help start to heal.
The injury, any injury for any place in the body, the body will try to get more blood to the area, to get more nutrition, to get more neutrophils, to get more red cells, white blood cells, to fight for the disease or injury.
So if something came in contact with that abrasion, cloth or something, there could be some transfer of those bodily fluids, if not actually blood.
So there is no hemorrhage, so there is no clot, just superficial abrasion.
So that your opinion is there wouldn't, if that abrasion were to come in contact with someone's clothing, there would be no transfer of biological matter?
It could be because the superficial skin was off, So I believe there are possibility after this injury, the superficial skin could transfer from one person to another anytime.
Sure.
You have contact, you have something transfer. It's called trace evidence. That's in the book. What is trace evidence means you have contact, you have something transfer.
Did we retrieve the exhibit?
Yes.
Thank you, James. Thank you. Okay. You mentioned Trayvon Martin's height, that's 71 inches, 5 feet 11, correct?
I never say height because the dead man cannot stand.
Well, I meant length, body length.
Yeah, length.
Correct. 71 inches, 5 feet 11.
Yeah, 71 inch.
And you,
5'11", yes.
the weight was 158.
Yes.
And on the notes taken during your examination, that is a BMI of 22, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what BMI is?
Yeah.
Right, body mass index?
Yeah. If he's obese, I will write down in the autopsy report. If he's in normal range, I would, let me see the diagram. 22, yes. 22 is normal range, so I did not wrote that in my autopsy report, just in the diagram.
In the body diagram sheet,
Yes.
where it's noted that Mr. Martin was 71 inches and 158 pounds,
Yeah.
it's also noted that his BMI was 22.
Yes.
And that's in the normal range for someone his size and weight.
Yes.
Neither obese nor underweight.
Yeah, normal range is 20 to 25.
I'm just looking around here so I don't repeat what you've already said, and we'll
Okay.
try to move forward. And I
Yeah.
think I'm at the point now where I'd like to talk with you specifically about the gunshot wound itself.
Okay.
No, actually, before I do that, let's talk about the length of time that, in your opinion, Mr. Martin may have lived.
1 to 10 minutes.
Right. That's what you said before.
Yes.
Are you saying that his minimum time that he would have survived is 1 minute?
Yes.
And the maximum time he would have survived is 10 minutes?
Yes.
And that's based upon your review of literature?
No. It is based on my experience. I did autopsy and I have worked in the 3 medical examiner's office.
Let me ask you this about your experience. Have you ever done personal research, professional research, that has resulted in peer-reviewed publications?
For the surviving...
Gunshot wound survival times or anything related to gunshot wounds?
Yes, I read many books.
Now, I understand. My question, though, is more precise. It's, have you done any research yourself, written any articles on this subject matter?
Not in the last 6 months.
Are you published in the area of gunshot wounds?
No, I did not.
Are you published in the area of what the survival time might be for a wound such as Mr. Martin sustained?
I did not.
So your source of information, when you offer your opinion of 1 to 10 minutes, is based upon your review of other people's work?
Based on my autopsy and other people's autopsy which I work with. Because
when
for
you say
every
you work
case
with...
come to my office or come to the office back in Texas or back in Alabama, normally we have morning conference. Then we go to morgue to do autopsy together. We watch each other's case to have more experience, to learn from each other.
In this instance, though, are you saying that in working with other medical examiners over time, you've done your own research project?
No, I do not have any research project on this matter.
So you don't have any database, if you will, of how long someone would be expected to live after sustaining the injury that Mr. Martin did?
No. I have clear picture 100% accurate evidence that one guy, 3 weeks ago, one guy was shot by his father.
Excuse me, if I might
minutes.
let you, Your Honor, would
Please wait for the next question.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm talking about information that you have outside this autopsy, from research you've done, people you've consulted with, or textbooks that you've read about how long someone is likely to live after sustaining the kind of injury that Mr. Martin did.
For the gunshot wound to the heart, I do have experience several times back in Alabama, back in Texas, and in this office.
Has that ever been memorialized in
this is just based on my memory. So I have no more than 50% of confidence that they are not accurate. That's why in the deposition I give you 1 to 3 minutes, which is very safe.
Let's talk about that for a moment. So you acknowledge that your first opinion was, and the one you expressed in writing and at your deposition last November,
yes,
was that it was 1 to 3 minutes, correct?
Yes, in the deposition I told you it's 1 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Because
now,
it's my job.
If you would let me ask the next
Okay.
question. I don't mean to interrupt if you're not finished, but
Okay.
I want to just set the stage.
Okay.
So it was 1 to 3 minutes back in November,
Yes.
and it continued to be 1 to 3 minutes until the last 60 days.
Yes, until 3 weeks ago.
Until 3 weeks ago, and then you changed your opinion
Based
and
on-
expanded it to more than twice, almost 3 times as long, more than 3 times as long,
Yeah.
from 1 to 10 minutes.
Because I have new experience.
And that's experience, personal experience,
Yes.
not experience or information that you gained from reviewing journals or articles
No.
or textbooks.
No, it's
Your
personal experience.
hands-on experience.
My hands was not on. My eye was on.
Is this because of a specific case you were working on?
Yes, 3 weeks ago. Let me say this case.
Yes, if you would, just tell us
Okay.
exactly what it was,
3
your
weeks
experience
ago,
was 3 weeks ago that has caused you to more than triple the time that
Okay.
Trayvon Martin is likely to have been alive.
3 weeks ago, we had a case. One guy, about 40 years old, was shot by his father. His father was in real self-defense. He called 911 right away. We
Yeah,
have clear time log.
I'm sorry. Is this information that's in your personal knowledge, or are you relying on other people's reports?
My knowledge, because the reason I did not do autopsy on this case, but I have great interest on this case.
Okay. She needs to be able to hear everything that you're saying. What is it that you're missing?
My knowledge, because the reason I did not.
No, okay. I did not do autopsy on this case, but I have very great interest on this case because this case is similar to Trayvon Martin's autopsy. This 40 years old was shot. The gun through the heart, also right ventricle, through the liver. In Trayvon's case, the bullet through the right ventricle of the heart and to the lung. And very rare. This is kind of one of 10 years of opportunity that we know exactly the time he was alive. His father called 911 right away, and he was in pain and make some painful noise, and the 911 people actually hear that. He was pronounced dead 10 minutes after he was shot. Very clear time. Very rare you can have a clear picture after people was shot how long he alive. So in this case, this guy, 40 years old, shot by his father. His father called 911 right away. We have clear picture. He was alive for 10 minutes. I was so interested in this case because I'm preparing for this case. So I believe if you shoot the heart, people can survive 10 minutes.
Okay, that's your frame of reference then?
Yes.
That other case where there's some evidence that the person was alive longer than your first opinion of 1 to 3 minutes?
Yes.
Would you agree the range could be quite different depending on the circumstances?
Yes.
And you couldn't really say that in every case where someone was shot in the heart, they would survive 10 minutes?
No, this is why I said 1 to 10 minutes. I did not say about 10 minutes or 10 minutes. I say 1 to 10 minutes. I give myself plenty of margin of error.
So that's really 10 times, isn't it?
Yes.
1 to 10 minutes is a huge...
Yes. Okay. Let me tell you what is opinion.
Is that as accurate as you can be?
Yes.
Okay. Let's then talk about something else you said in connection with that. If I heard what you said earlier in direct, that you said that immediately following the shot, Trayvon Martin would not be able to move. Did you say that?
Yes, I did.
Is that your opinion, that based upon the shot to Mr. Martin's heart, that immediately upon sustaining it, he would not have been able to move?
And also I gained experience from the case.
If you would just answer the question first. Is that your testimony that immediately upon receiving the injury to his heart and lung, that Trayvon Martin would not have been able to move?
Yes.
And are you also saying that he would not be able to talk?
Yes, I did say that. I would say that
he would have no voluntary control of his muscles whatsoever? Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea about that. I do think they can move a little bit. They can make some very painful noise. That's what I learned from the case 3 weeks ago.
But you didn't do the autopsy on that case, did you?
I did not. But
Did you witness the autopsy?
Yes, I did. I did.
And that's your database, if you will, for all of this?
Normally we have 2 persons. In this case, Dr. Gallagher did the autopsy. At that day, I did not do autopsy, I think. So because this case is so rare, we have a clear picture.
Mm-hmm. What I'd like you to focus on, please answer more fully if you need to, but I want to focus on your opinion as a medical examiner in this case,
yes,
so that we're clear. Is it your testimony that immediately upon sustaining the gunshot wound to his heart and lung, that Trayvon Martin would not have been able to move voluntarily?
I think he was able to move a little bit.
How much?
Very, very little.
Could he pull his hands in? Could he move his hands?
I don't know.
Could he move his legs?
In this world, only one person knows.
Could he sit up?
I don't know.
All right, so somewhere between not being able to move at all and maybe move a little bit, you're just not sure how much or for how long. Is that what you're saying?
Again, because nobody knows, only one person knows in this room.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is not being responsive. Could we approach the bench, please?
No, but please rephrase your question and wait till he asks the question to give you
I understand your question because nobody knows what Trayvon did after he was shot.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Dr. Beck.
Yes.
You need to wait until a question is finished being asked, and you need to answer the question that is being asked, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
May we please approach just for a second? This is an important matter that I'd like to address very briefly.
Just go ahead and ask your question, please.
May I have just a moment? I want to be precise with my question.
Okay.
And as an expert, you're allowed to give an opinion, obviously.
Yes.
So I just want to know what your opinion is.
Yes.
Your opinion is that Trayvon Martin may have been able to move some after sustaining the shot. You just don't know how much or for how long.
Yes,
is that correct?
Nobody knows details.
All right. So, because it's a matter of opinion.
Yes.
Okay. So, have you done any studies yourself, other than this one case you're talking about, or consulted any research on that specific issue? How long somebody could move or talk, what physical activity they're capable of, and for how long after sustaining a similar injury?
Okay, for human study, we cannot do experiment. So in this world, nobody knows.
Your Honor, the answer is not responsive.
His answer is nobody knows.
Yeah, I gain my
Just
experience.
leave your answer. Please wait for the next question. Go
I
ahead
did
and
not
ask.
finish my answer.
I understand. Wait for your next question.
So you're saying there is no research available that would assist you in reaching the opinion?
You cannot do this research. You cannot kill anybody to
Sure,
define
you can't
the
do it in a
movement.
laboratory. You can't shoot people in a laboratory. That's not what I'm talking about.
So I believe the case I have 3 weeks ago, we have 3 weeks, is one of the best in the world. Very rare you have clear picture after shot to the heart. What he did, how he suffered, we have clear picture. Very rare. I believe you can write a publication will be read by everybody in the world.
Very good. You haven't done that yet.
No, I have no time to write a publication.
And have you researched whether anybody else has on similar subjects?
I did not do any research.
You know, you mentioned that on a lot of these issues you researched a lot of the material and the textbooks out there in the scientific community, correct?
Yeah, I do that routinely.
So let's talk about then the gunshot wound itself.
Okay.
Do you agree, and is it your testimony and opinion, that the damage to the shirts was as a result of contact with the muzzle of the gun and the fabric itself?
Yes, loose contact, I believe.
Do you agree, and is it your opinion, that the wound to the skin is not a contact wound?
No.
Are you saying it's your opinion that the wound to the skin is a contact wound?
It's not contact. The contact would be very, very different.
So it's your opinion that the wound to the skin is not a contact wound?
Yes.
And if it had been a contact wound, that would be a pretty easy thing for a medical examiner to see.
Yes.
There would be the stellate type tearing of the skin.
It's very easy. I normally I can make decision in first 5 or 3 seconds.
That's a kind of a rookie thing, if you will. That's an obvious thing to someone with
Yes,
your
yes.
background.
We do that almost every day.
So what your testimony ultimately is that there is some distance
Yes.
between the fabric and the skin.
No, I did not say between the fabric and skin, between the skin and the muzzle of the gun. There is some distance.
That's what I'd like you to be clear on so I understand.
Okay.
You're saying that there is some distance between the muzzle of the gun and the skin.
Okay.
So
When I say contact, it's not contact to the clothes, it's contact to the skin. Okay.
are you saying that if you contact the
Contact
clothing and the clothing is next to the skin, that you're not going to see evidence of a contact wound on the skin?
It depends how you contact them. There are 2 contact, loose contact and a hard contact. If the gun through the clothes, press the clothes, very hard to contact skin, then I would see the imprint of the fiber of the clothing on the skin.
You would also see that stellate pattern you're talking about, the tearing.
You may not see that if it's hard contact.
So you're saying that if the barrel of the gun were pushed against the fabric, against the skin, that you would see fibers in the skin. You
Yes.
might see the stellate tearing, but not necessarily?
I cannot answer that question because in this case I believe it's not.
You believe what is not?
I don't believe it is contact. In my autopsy report, I give you 3 ranges: contact, intermediate, and indeterminate, means I cannot tell. So in this case, for me, it's also like 3-second question. He had a stiffening, it's intermediate range. For me, I'm different from the firearm technician. They use the chemical method or use actual shooting to determine the range. They give you like whatever, 1 inch, 2 inch.
So let's talk about how you determined your range.
I use the definition. So if it is stiffening, it is intermediate range. If it's intermediate range, it is stiffening. So
let's just break that down just a little bit more.
okay.
If it's not contact, then it's the next closest distance, by your definition, would be intermediate.
Yes.
There's no such thing as close range.
Some people you do that. In this case, some people will call close range, but I don't do that because.
So you go from either contact to intermediate.
Yes.
And in your mind, based upon the resource materials, intermediate can be from less than half an inch all the way out to 4 feet.
Yeah, less than 0.4 inch to 4 feet. That's what I said in the deposition.
And the way you know that is because you know it's not contact.
Yes.
And that you see some of the stippling or the tattooing.
Yes.
And you know that there is a point, there is a distance where the gunpowder drops off, somewhere around 4 feet. So if the shot is beyond 4 feet, you're not going to
see the stippling. Yes.
You're not going to see any of the stippling.
Yes.
You're only going to see the bullet hole.
Yes. Again, for this case, when I give you my opinion in the deposition, the first thing I need to be safe. So after I determine it's in the intermediate range pattern, then I search the book. I find out the closest.
Let me be clear.
Range.
Have you changed your opinion
No, I did
now
not
from
change
what
opinion.
you gave
Yeah,
last
in
fall?
the end, I did not change opinion because in the book is still there, book is still same.
Which books do you refer to?
I have several books on my shelf.
Did you refer to any of the books by Dr. Vincent DeMaio?
Yeah, his book is one of them.
All right, so you consulted Dr. DeMaio's book on gunshot wounds.
Yes.
And after consulting his book and others, have you now changed or refined your opinion that the distance of the shot is 0.4 inches to 4 feet?
No, I did not. I made the determination before your deposition. I did not have new experience, new reading about this matter since deposition. Everything is the same.
Okay. So just to be clear then, you cannot offer any more precise distance from the muzzle of the gun to Trayvon Martin's skin than somewhere between 0.4 inches and 4 feet.
Yes, that's what I did. That's what I said in the deposition. My position, my opinion is still the same.
But that's your position today.
Yes.
You accept as a matter of trying to determine distance that at the end of the muzzle, in addition to the projectile, gunpowder comes out.
Yes.
And it's the gunpowder pattern that you've called stippling.
Yes.
And the amount, how far it's spread and such, can help identify the distance.
No, I will not worry about how far they spread. So this is just 1-to-1. So if I say stiffening, it's the intermediate range. It's intermediate range, it's stiffening. It's simple and easy. If I see one of them, I make the determination.
So do you ascribe to the idea that as the gunpowder is expelled from the gun, from the muzzle, as the shot is fired, that it has this kind of conical pattern?
Yes, the far it is, then we'll spread out.
All right, so in other words, there are ways to figure out how far the shot may have been based upon the size of the stippling pattern. Is that correct?
As medical examiner, I don't think that's my job. My job is to make a decision of range, either contact, intermediate, or indeterminate. Some people would do hard contact, near contact, close contact. Different people, they have different ways to describe the injury.
So this has a 2-inch by 2-inch stippling pattern.
Yes.
Basically a circle roughly, 2 inches in...
2-inch diameter, 2 by 2 inch.
2-inch by 2-inch.
2-inch diameter, not the circle. It's pretty big.
The width of the tattooing or the stippling is about 2 inches. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you're right.
And once you saw this, you knew that it was an intermediate range.
Okay, yes.
And that at that point, you did not attempt to determine where within that intermediate range this particular shot may have occurred.
Yeah, because I could not write that down on the autopsy report because it is not part of the autopsy report. It is opinion without very great confidence. But it's my responsibility when I do deposition. I have to give you range, so I did research, give you range.
So the only testimony you're able to give the jury on how far the muzzle of the gun was from the skin is somewhere between 0.4 inches and 4 feet.
Yes.
I might have just a minute. I think I'm about finished. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Dr. Bell.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Good afternoon again, Dr. Val.
Thank you.
Let's make sure we cover a few things. You did a report, and I think it was 6 pages, correct?
7 pages. I mean,
7 pages, I'm sorry.
my notes?
Right. You did a report, but then you also made notes, too.
Yeah, 7 page
Okay,
notes.
all right. You made 7 pages of notes, and your report detailed your diagnosis and findings, did it not? Your
Okay.
medical examiner report
Oh,
detailed
yeah, the
what you
autopsy
did.
report. Yeah, that's
The
autopsy
autopsy report.
Okay, yeah, let me see.
Okay.
Total 6 pages, autopsy
Okay.
report.
All right. And you documented your findings in this case?
Yes.
In terms of the gunshot wound, detailing, describing the...
Yeah, I typed the report on same day.
Okay.
Because you cannot rely on your memory to testify, say truth, that's about truth, because you don't know the truth, okay?
Right. So at that time, it was very fresh in your mind, and you did it that same day?
Yes,
Okay. And you documented your findings on the report?
yes,
Okay. And then you created some notes to help you testify in court, so hopefully it would be easier?
yes,
Okay. Like, make sure you had your name down right in terms of all your education, so it'd be easier for you to tell the jury?
yeah, even before the deposition, I told you I spent a whole weekend from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
I come to my office, I lay down everything.
Yes, sir.
I try to figure out what I can remember.
Right.
I could not remember anything.
Okay. And in fact, in the deposition, you provided both sides, defense and state, with some answers to some very simple questions about what a homicide is.
Yes.
The definition of intermediate range pattern, correct?
Yes,
And in it, you put in terms of 0.4 inches to 4 feet.
yes, based on the literature I used.
Yes, sir. And you also provided to both counsel the, and I'm going to mispronounce it, the intermediate?
Intermediate.
Okay. Tell me again. Now, that is where you have clothing, right?
Oh, yeah, it's called intermediary. Intermediary means you have something between the muzzle of the gun and the target. means skin of Trayvon Martin.
And as you stated in the notes you provided counsel to the state and defense and deposition, you believe in this case there was something, the two sweatshirts.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Now, you also, a lot of photographs were taken. We've only shown some of the photographs, but you
Yes.
took other photographs.
Yes.
Not you yourself, but other people did that were working for you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in those photographs, Your Honor, may I have some assistance with the lights? I apologize. I want to go back to two of the photographs, number 89 and 88. When the body came in, when Trayvon Martin's body came in, did you yourself have to look at the hands yourself?
Yes, I look at
Why?
every
Why did
case.
you have to look at the hands?
Because, look at the picture now. I understand why we did not do the photo of palm, because when people die, the hand like this, the contraction of the muscle. So my job, the first thing, I want to bend them out, and after I release my hand, the hand will back again like this. So it's very difficult to take a picture without my hand to bend them, then ask another guy to take a picture. I think that's why we did not take picture for this case.
Yes, sir.
We do not do picture for palm for any other case.
And if there
It's
had been some
difficult.
blood there, would you have taken pictures to document that there was some evidence there that was important?
Yes,
Okay. And there wasn't any blood or injury to the palms
No.
of his hands?
I look at myself. Every case, I believe in this case, I did same thing.
Okay. All right. So in other words, you're saying when you die, your body, I guess, your stuff to your body kind of curls up?
Yeah. This is
Okay.
this is standard. Everybody do that after they die.
Okay. And you also mentioned the injury, State's Exhibit number 97. Since you did find something there, you did document that by that photograph, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I think that's it for the lights. I'm going to ask him some more questions. Thank you. You were asked about the scrapings of the fingernails. That was done by one of your technicians that works for you, I believe, Mr.
Yes.
Ben
Ben Dalton. Yes.
Okay. And he's trained to do that, or did you just that day tell somebody to come off the street and say, hey, come in here, or has he been trained to do that?
Yeah. He was trying to do his job. He had previous experience with some other job, and after he came in, we have senior technician train him to do the job, and after 3 months, we decide he knows everything.
Okay, stop 1 second.
Vouching for a witness that's not here and subject to cross-examination.
Okay. Can you move on?
I'll be moving on, Your Honor. You mentioned, may I approach the witness, Your Honor? You did recover some blood was recovered, correct? For
Yes.
DNA purposes, correct?
Yes.
The bottom line, Dr. Blau, whether it's from 1 to 3 minutes, from 1 to 10 minutes, he was going to die
Yes.
and never recover from this gunshot wound, correct?
He had no chance. There are two defects on the heart.
So the bottom line, it could be as little as 1 minute, up to 3 minutes, or up to 10 minutes,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And in your deposition, you stated from 1 to 3 minutes, but you recently came across a case where somebody could have lived to 10 minutes, correct?
Yes.
And by the way, in terms of, you didn't go to the scene, correct?
No, I did not go to the
I
scene.
object to the leading nature of the last several questions.
Okay, in this question, if it's just to get to a point in testimony, I will allow it.
You were asked by Mr. West to, I think at some point, review your investigator's report that went to the scene. You recall that?
Yeah.
Tara Malferris or Tara
Yeah.
Clark, I think
I did not go to the scene. I just rely on her report here. I do not want to testify on her behalf because I don't have fact.
You didn't go to the scene yourself?
Okay. So I don't have opinion.
Okay. If the evidence, hypothetically, if the evidence showed photographs there at the scene by the police department that the body was covered in a tarp, a tarp was covered over the body, would that in some way protect the body?
Yes, before I came here, I did review the scene photos. Not because I went to the scene, but because I reviewed photos
You reviewed photos that were taken by the investigator?
Yes, I reviewed it a few days ago, even yesterday.
Right. And was there indication that the body had been covered at the scene?
Yeah, according to my memory, the new memory, not the memory 1 year ago, that the body was covered by orange something.
Okay. And when you say in terms of Trayvon Martin, in terms of the 1 minute minimum up to 3 minutes and all that, in other words, his brain was still functioning, but he wasn't able, was he able to get up and do jumping jacks and all this stuff or not?
I believe brain is the minimal functioning. I don't think he can move based on my case, our case 3 weeks ago.
Okay. All right, don't refer to the other case, but just based on your experience, you don't think he can move around and do all
Because
kinds
I don't know Trayvon Martin's case. I have to refer previous case to predict
Sure.
Trayvon's case.
Okay, all right. And in other words, well, strike that. Tell me how to move your arm.
Yes,
Me?
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. May Dr. Bao be excused?
Subject to recall, depending on...
Okay, thank you. You're excused from the courtroom, subject to being recalled. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, call your next witness,
We
please.
have a break.
Okay, we may.
Apologize. With presumptions on...
Yes, we'll take a 10-minute recess.
You can call kind of mental retarded or you never learn, right? Do you
The
understand?
focus of my questioning now is
Yes.
about 3 weeks ago,
Yes.
you changed your opinion,
Yeah, I'm surprised. You're surprised because
and the reason you changed your opinion is because of a case that you handled at the medical examiner's office?
3 weeks ago.
Right.
Yes.
Not additional research through textbooks or consultations with other experts?
No.
Okay. And 3 weeks ago, when you changed your opinion, is when you decided that instead of 1 to 3 minutes, it may have been 1 to 10 minutes that Trayvon Martin may have lived?
Yes.
And did you, once you formed that opinion, did you make notes of it?
No, I did not make notes of it.
Did you
When
contact the...
Oh, no, I have notes on it. Actually, still in my office right now.
Right. Did you contact the state attorney's office to tell them that you had changed your opinion on that important matter?
No, I did not.
When, prior to today, but after the November deposition, have you spoken with or met with members of the state attorney's office?
Yes, we did.
Yes, when?
Yesterday.
Any time prior to your deposition, I'm sorry, any time after your deposition and prior to yesterday, did you
Yes.
meet with or talk with any member of the state attorney's office?
The only time we talked is to the secretary, Jennifer. We asked the time when I should come here to testify, and I told Jennifer that I need to meet with the lawyer, state attorney, if he want to present the photos. Because if he present the photos, I want to know what kind of photo he want to present. So I need to prepare to explain these photos.
Okay. So you had that conversation with a staff member of the state attorney's
Yeah, I
office.
always talk to her.
And
she-
yesterday you met with Mr. Della Rionda?
Yes,
Was there
yesterday,
anybody-
July 4th, right?
Was there anybody else present?
No.
Where was it?
Where or when?
Where?
Where is in my office?
In Volusia County?
Yes.
And prior to that meeting with Mr. Della Rionda, you had not spoken with anyone about your anticipated testimony except with the legal staff, Jennifer?
No, I just tell him, nobody else.
Yesterday, when you met with Mr. Della Rionda, did you talk about your anticipated testimony for today?
Yes.
And you met with him a half hour, 40 minutes, something like that?
No, I don't have any notes to record how long.
Well, what do you think, basically?
It is my opinion now, not the fact.
Sure, but what would your opinion be as to how long you and Mr. Della Rionda met yesterday?
40 minutes.
Okay. And during that 40 minutes, did you tell Mr. Della Rionda that you had changed your opinion on how...
It can change every hour. I don't see any problem.
Last fall, your opinion was the level of marijuana would have no physical or mental effect, correct?
Yes, at that time.
Now your opinion is that it would indeed have at least some mental effect.
Could be. I said could be.
All right. So,
because
and that's based upon additional research that
yes,
you did?
I spent hours and hours. I went to the library, I read papers, and I tried to pull out my previous research. And I talked to some other expert. And
I'm sorry?
I talked to other expert.
Who did you talk with?
I talked to my previous friend in Washington State.
Who is that, please?
Dr. Brooks.
Pardon me?
Brooks. Brooks.
Is that the last name?
Yeah.
Is this person a toxicologist?
He's not a toxicologist. He's a biologist. He's one of the best, if not the best, of no-dose radiation. No-dose radiation effect in the world. I worked with him for many years.
You consulted with Dr. Brooks about the issue of toxicology.
Yes.
And among other literature that you consulted.
Yes.
Other studies
many times.
Did you did you review studies where research was done on the intoxicating effects or the impairment effects of marijuana at various levels?
Yes, I believe.
Can you tell us today what studies you consulted that led to your change of opinion?
For the purpose of this limited hearing is a Richardson hearing, so please keep on topic for that.
So,
all right, let me focus you then on this.
Okay.
When did you change your mind about the significance of the THC level in Trayvon Martin's blood?
I don't remember exactly the time. Could be in last 60 days. Because, yes, when we decide to have this trial, in the last 60 days, I try to prepare for this testimony.
Right.
Because not every case will go to trial.
So you're saying that sometime in the last 60 days is when
Yes.
you changed your opinion on the effects of the marijuana?
Yes.
And did you mention that to Mr. Della Rionda yesterday when you met with him for about 40 minutes?
No, I did not mention how, I changed my opinion. I just said marijuana tox report is part of the autopsy report. We should talk about it. I report to jury. I said I should report to jury the toxicology report. I did that every time in the previous case. And he said we may not talk about it because of some issue in the court, some hearing, whatever.
Did you tell him that your opinion had changed?
No, I did not tell him.
Did you?
Please be seated. We're going to be in recess for lunch. The notes, I understand you're concerned about the notes. What I'm going to do is ask that the clerk make a copy of the notes. The attorneys will be instructed that those notes are not to be shared with anybody else, and after they're finished with their questioning, your notes will be destroyed. Their copy of your notes will be destroyed. So if you'll give it to the clerk, she'll make a copy and provide it to both sides. with the confidentiality order that the court has entered previously in this case. As soon as you get your original of your notes back, you could go to lunch and be back here at 1 p.m. You're not to discuss your testimony with anyone because you're still considered to be on the stand. Okay? Thank you. Court will be in recess.
Bit in your prior deposition and in the handout you gave counsel at the time of that deposition last November, you estimated that Mr. Martin may have lived from 1 to 3 minutes. Do you remember that?
Yes, I did. I read the deposition transcript of deposition 2 times.
Yes.
Last weekend.
Today you said that it would be 1 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
So your opinion has changed.
Yeah, opinion
between
always can be changed.
You have to wait until he finishes with his question before you give your answer. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Your opinion has changed on that matter since your deposition last November until today. Is that correct?
No, not till today.
I'm sorry.
Not till today. Until 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You changed your opinion 2 to 3 weeks ago about how
3
long...
3 weeks ago, yes.
3 weeks ago?
Yes.
About how long Trayvon Martin may have lived after sustaining the gunshot wound?
Yes.
And is that based upon additional research that you did?
No, based on another autopsy I did, what I did in our office. We had a case very similar to Trayvon Martin's case 3 weeks ago. First, I need to explain to you what is opinion. Okay, opinion can be changed. That's why you ask jury to be open-minded, to have open mind, right? Opinion, there is no truth or false, just right or wrong. If you have new information, if you have new experience, if you read a new book, you will change your opinion. If someone never change opinion,
How long Trayvon Martin may have lived?
I don't remember. I may told him, I may not.
Do you have any notes with that about that conversation?
I do not have any notes.
Did you think it was an important matter?
I think it's important.
And important enough to tell the lead prosecutor in this case that you had changed your opinion?
He is not my lawyer. I'm not his employee. I'm independent voice. Actually, I learned that.
Are you saying that you just don't remember whether or not you told Mr. Della Rionda that your opinion had changed?
Purpose.
Please let me finish the question.
Okay.
Are you saying that you just don't remember whether you told Mr. Della Rionda yesterday in your meeting of about 40 minutes that your opinion concerning how long Trayvon Martin lived after the gunshot wound, that you didn't tell him that your opinion had changed?
I don't remember. I did not write down I did or not.
Wait a minute.
I have 2 purposes. When I met him,
No, I don't remember. I did not write down.
yeah, the reason I say I did not remember because I did not write down. Okay, I cannot answer you question which I'm not sure. The purpose of the meeting was I want to know what kind of photo he wanted me to present because I don't want a surprise. You give me a photo, I even don't understand. Or he may present a photo, it's not my photo.
All right. Just
Second.
Specifically on that point.
Yes.
That's all I'm interested in right now.
Yeah.
It's your testimony regarding whether you told Mr. Della Rionda that your opinion changed, that Trayvon Martin may have lived from 1 to 3 minutes to 1 to 10 minutes, that you don't remember whether you mentioned that.
I did not remember which, because that's not the point. That's not the reason I want to meet him.
All right.
I may say it, I may not say it.
Sure. You may have said it,
Yeah,
you may
I may
not have.
Yes.
Just, okay.
Yeah, there's a difference between the fact and the opinion. I don't think you still understand.
Sure. Well, let's talk about something else then.
Okay.
At your deposition last November, you acknowledged that Trayvon Martin had the active ingredient of marijuana, THC, in his system, correct?
Yes.
1.5 nanograms per milliliter?
Yes.
and it was your opinion that that level of marijuana would have no physical or mental, emotional effect. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was your testimony in November.
Yes.
When you prepared your notes for your testimony today,
Yes.
one of your notes indicates that since last November, you've changed your mind on that subject,
I
correct?
changed my opinion.
Change your opinion on
Yeah,
that subject.
today is fact, opinion. You cannot use term, story, or mind. Just, I changed my opinion. I
Yes,
have right to change
last
it.
fall,
Everybody changed it.
you tell him that your opinion had changed about the significance of the THC level.
I did not.
Why not?
Because he said we will not talk about it.
The issue is not why. The issue is did he tell him? This is a Richardson hearing, and I'd like to stay focused on that issue at this time.
Yes, of course. Was there any conversation with Mr. Delarianda about anything related to marijuana and the research you had done?
No, I did not. He even don't want to talk about it. I said I need talk not just marijuana but toxicology report, because toxicology report is part of the autopsy report. Jury, they need to know. It's the right to know. We just cannot skip that.
Was there anybody present during your conversation yesterday with Mr. Delarianda?
No.
Had you spoken with any other member of the state attorney's office, any staff member, lawyer, investigator, paralegal, and such, where the notion of marijuana came up?
No.
So yesterday was the only time you spoke with Mr. Delarianda or anyone on his behalf in connection with this case after your deposition of last November?
Yeah, he's the only one I know actually in the state attorney office. Other than the secretary or investigators, he's the only attorney I talk to regarding any issue.
You didn't tell her anything about changing your opinion on the marijuana issue?
No. I don't think she can understand that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Are there any other witnesses that you wish to call in regards to a Richardson hearing? Are there any other witnesses that you wish to call in regards to a Richardson hearing?
Yes. Well, no witnesses. I do have a couple of follow-up questions. Just
Okay.
to be clear, I may have clouded the issue.
Yes.
So, until 3 weeks ago, your opinion was that Trayvon Martin would have lived 1 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
Based upon the case in the medical examiner's office, you now believe it was 1 to 10 minutes?
Yes.
As to the marijuana, in last November you believed that there would be no physical or mental effect by the marijuana.
Yes.
And today you believe there would be.
Not today. Not just today. In the last 60 days.
All
When
right.
I tried to prepare this testimony,
Right.
did
For the-
research.
So for the last 60 days, you have believed that in fact there is some toxicological significance to the level of marijuana in that it would have...
Different issue. Let's stick to the Richardson issue. The Richardson issue is whether or not that information was made known to the state attorney's office and if they failed to pass the information on to you. Do you have any other questions regarding that issue of Dr. Bao?